These are the blankets that we're going to be using for this sublimation project. These are 100% polyester, and I picked out some light colors to use. I found these at a local lumber yard, I guess is what you would call it, at a Menards, and they were under $3 a piece. So I downloaded some images from my Creative Fabrica All Access account. And so that's what we are going to be putting on these blankets today. So I design in Word. So I open my Word document here and I'm going to go to Layout. And I think the first one that I do, I will make it a 8.5 by 14. And I'll leave orientation as it is right now. I'll leave it as portrait, and I'm going to set my margins to 0. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to go and get the image that I downloaded. And the first one that, oops, get into my downloads here. The first one that I am going to put on is this. Well, that one I'll put on an 8.5 by 11, but I will pull this in. And then I am going to change this layout here back to 8.5 by 11. And then I'm going to stretch this all the way down to give me a good size for that blanket. So this one is going to be the 8.5 by 11. Consider how the wildflowers grow. So now I'll open a new document. And I will do the same thing. I'll go to my layouts, and this time I will do the 8.5 by 14. And I will set my margins to 0 again. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to insert my picture. And on this one, I think we're going to be using, this is my gaming blanket. And I am actually going to stretch this out to make it bigger. You can do that. I will usually go to layout options and wrap through, but since we're not adding any other images to this, I'll just leave it like this. But I'm going to stretch this all the way down, this image. Get rid of that here. I want to stretch it out because I want a bigger image. You can stretch your images out. It will give it a slight disorder, but not that much that it's going to be noticeable. I'm going to pull it in from the sides here, and I'm going to just check what it's going to look like for printing. So when I go to print here, it shows, yeah, it's going to print it nicely. So now I'm going to go back. That seems like a good layout, but you can also change the color here. This gives you some color changing options if you go into the color tab here under format. And so I could change this to any of these colors, but I am going to leave this black for this blanket. Now I'm going to go to the next document here for my last blanket. And I'm going to go layout again, and I'm going to go to orientation. I think I'm going to use portrait, and I'm going to do 8.5 by 11 again, and I'm going to change my margins to 0. I'm going to insert my picture again and go and find it here. This is my true crime watching blanket. I really like this one. It's pretty neat. So now I'm going to also do the wrap and through here. And then I'm going to stretch this over, and then I'm going to stretch it down because I want this to be pretty big on my blanket. So that looks pretty good there. So now we're going to go into printer settings. So I'm going to go to File and Print. And then I got to change my printer here because that's not the printer I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using my Epson EcoTank 2760 that I have converted over to a sublimation printer by adding sublimation ink to it. And now I'm going to go into my printer properties here. And you want to make sure that you change your paper type to Premium Presentation Paper Matte. Oops, missed it. Premium Presentation Paper Matte. You want your quality set at high. Then you're going to go into more options, and I go into image options, and I change this to emphasize more and emphasize thin lines. Hold on here. And then hit OK. Then we're going to go to the bottom here and we're going to uncheck high speed. You do not want high speed on. And we're going to mirror our image because when you do sublimation and you have words, you're going to want to mirror your image. So then we're set. So I am going to go and I'm going to print this. I'm using HTV Ront 125 sublimation paper for this project. And here is what they look like as they are printing out of my Epson EcoTank 2760 that I have converted over to sublimation printing. And I'm using the HTV Ront Auto Press for this. So I am preheating the press to 385 degrees Fahrenheit, and I will be pressing these blankets for 30 seconds. And as you can see on the right, I have added a 15 by 15 silicone pressing mat to my press. That just helps to alleviate any press marks and gives it a good firm pressure. I'll have the link below for this. I pre-press each of the blankets for 10 seconds to remove any moisture that might be in them. So now after my prints have come out of the printer, I will always trim them down. I trim them as close to the image as I can get because I don't want any stray ink that may have come off of the printer rollers. And then I put a slight crease down the center. I line up the words or the image and then I put a crease in there, and that helps me find the center but when I am going to press. So on the left, you can see the crease mark. So that is where I want my image to be on the blanket. And then the second image there is after I have pressed it for 30 seconds at 385 degrees. And then you can see I'm lifting the image off and it turned out great. And again, it's the same process. Trim the print, crease it, find the center on the blanket where you want it, and press it for 385 degrees for 30 seconds. I don't like to press any longer than that because you will get press lines, and because it's 100% polyester, it takes the ink really well. And here is the third print, all trimmed down, centered, and pressed again, 385 for 30 seconds. And here are the finished blankets. They turned out really well. This is a really good project to start for sublimation. If you can find these 100% polyester blankets, they're very easy to do. And if you stick to the 30 seconds at 385 degrees, you have minimal press lines, so they turn out really well. Well, I think this is a win. I've put links in the description below for items used in this video. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my channel. Have a good day.